What was that? Think you're a pro player? It's crazy.
Yo.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Oh, we're doing good. Yeah, I don't know if you know this. Thor, Pirate Software, and I are discussing it. He's currently being a boomer, unable to join this call. Talking about this hack. Are you familiar with Thor?
I know. I've seen Pirate Software a few times. I've seen the stream.
Yeah.
Hello.
So if you don't know my background for stuff, I've been in offensive security in the gaming industry for about 20 years. So before this, I was the lead of application security for Blizzard Entertainment, which is all of Blizzard's websites globally. I was a senior red team specialist for them, and I have 3 black badges from DEF CON, and my last job was hacking power plants for the federal government.
Jesus, dude.
In my time throughout the industry, I've banned over 2 million players for cheating in games. So like this is 100% my wheelhouse. And we've been talking about the potentials for what could be going on here, and I'm still not seeing any evidence of remote code execution just yet.
Let me give you a quick intro as well. Hey, my name's Premjin, been programming for a long time.
So you said you talked to the hacker. How did they verify who they were?
Basically, I think he's a viewer of mine or a viewer of the Apex community. First of all, he gifted me 4,000 packs in game, and he gifted multiple thousands of packs to other people without like taking any money. That's like a $4,000 approximately. And also he has this bot or like multi-boxing bot that makes like 40 people land on top of you and kill you, like punch you out.
I saw that.
And
I watched that video.
Yeah.
The original videos that went off that showed those 2 players using cheat tools does not prove RCE. A lot of people are claiming it's remote code execution. What it does prove is that their machines are compromised. Yeah. Whether it's compromised through remote code execution or it's compromised because they download something stupid is unknown. So we can't jump to conclusions on it. This one, though, where he summons in all the bots and sending you all the packs like that, makes me believe that he has some kind of access to the server in a way where he's able to get all of these items and gift them to you, being able to manipulate the server to summon all the bots. That's a much more scary vuln than what he was doing to those 2 players during that game.
Yeah, that's what he can do. I spoke with him. I actually have a YouTube video where I speak with him. If you want me to find it, I can send it to you.
Is that one?
But, yeah.
This one was from a
month ago. So this guy's been doing this for a while then?
Yeah, he has. He's been landing on people. He's been just like normal cheating. You know, like the classic aimbot wall hack type thing. And but he's also been like, he definitely knows some server side stuff, and I've been speaking to him.
It'd have to be. Yeah, you'd have to be at that point. If he's been doing this for long enough, the things that I'm worried about, these are the potentials out of this, right? I'm still not seeing evidence of remote code execution, but I am seeing evidence of a compromised server. I'm seeing evidence of maybe a compromised employee, or like an employee's machine could be compromised that gives him extra access to this. That'd be something I'm worried about. Or a client that's able to send information to the server that the server then accepts that it shouldn't be, which all 3 of those possibilities are highly likely based on what he's able to do here. Yeah. With remote code execution, that means that you're getting execution of arbitrary code on the end target. So if he has RCE to the server, that would make sense. That doesn't mean he has RCE to each individual player's client. That's a very different thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
What is the point? Has he like tried to like sell a cheat? Is there any like reasons that you're seeing beyond, or that he's talked about, beyond just the point of him being able to do it and give you guys a bunch of packs? Or
no, but it seems like he's just. The thing is, it seems like it's for attention, because he could literally the guy that Jen Burton, he's called, the first guy he did it on. He could literally ruin someone's career because if he didn't write his name in chat, so everybody knew who it was. He would have ruined his career right there, right? But he's obviously just doing it for attention also. He's been doing it to the bigger streamers. He's been doing it to me, Hal, Jen Burton. I'm not sure if someone else got gifted subs. Not the subs, my bad. Gifted packs. But he told me, I just sent you the new link, by the way, also. He told me when I spoke to him that you can see in the link now that like there's like 40 people landing on me. And he told me that... You know, that he's just doing it for fun, because why not? Yeah. That's
a pretty common. That's a huge common driver. So like I've been part of the hacking community for a super long time, right? Like those black badges that I was talking about, that's from DEF CON, hacking convention that happens in Vegas every year. There's about 30,000 of us show up, and we compete with each other and have fun. Inside of that community, there's not always a monetary driver. Some of the times it's just because, hey, I want to do something that no one else can do. I want to beat the puzzle, right? And the puzzle may just be, I want to see if I can turn this company's game inside out. Totally a normal thing.
Yeah.
So that drive is not as uncommon as anyone would think. That's a very common drive. Yeah, the old meme of for the lulz, right? It's an old meme for that. With this, I'm mostly interested not in what drives the attacker, because I understand that side of the house is super complete. The thing that interests me is what level of access does he actually have? Because if it's a client that's sending things up to the server, and the server is vulnerable, right? And he's sending things up that cause remote code execution. There's a couple of different ways to do that. So he could be sending a packet that's malformed, and there's a certain level of buffer that is on the end of that packet, like a certain amount of text, that goes outside of those bounds. And we call this a buffer overflow. That buffer overflow could then maybe, potentially, execute code, right? And with those, you may have a character limit. So he might be restricted in how much he can put there. But if there is no character limit, he could write a whole shitload of code to the server. And things like what you're talking about, he could do.
Malformed
being
like
able
your
to
big-ass
summon in
forehead.
bots. He just write a script for it once he figures it out through a lot of testing, a lot of research, finds a way to do it on a very small scale, finds a way to scale it up, and then goes and launches that, right? The thing with those two individual players, though, that still looks like a compromised end user account. So I don't think, based on what we have, I don't think that the attacker has individual access to Apex players' machines, if that makes sense. I do think he has access to the server in some capacity, whatever that capacity is. But to be able to get individual RCE access onto an end user's machine, that means the end user's machine has to have that vulnerability. That means the client has to be vulnerable, not just the server. So he'd have to ping pong from a vulnerable server and then down to each vulnerable client, which is a much wilder vulnerability. Like, chaining like that is not easy shit. And it means that the vuln has to exist there in the first place. So for me, Occam's razor, I think he's compromised those two individual users' machines and done that to them remotely because their machines were compromised. And I think he's accessing the server in a way because the server is vulnerable in some way. Based on current information, that could change, right?
Yeah, he told me he can access all accounts he wants to, though. He told me he can go on my account, he can open packs. He told me he can buy stuff from my account.
Yeah, that'd be
Sure.
So here's the thing, though. All of those things that you're talking about, where you could go onto my account and buy packs and do that, that's all server side. None of that is being done on your client. So if you're going into someone's account and doing something like that, and again, he didn't do it. He claimed it. He claimed he could, which doesn't mean it's real. You have to prove that kind of stuff, right? Trust but verify. Trust that he's telling the truth, but verify the claim. So in this case, let's say he could do that. All those actions are server-side actions. So if he had access to the server, he absolutely could. But he doesn't have access to your machine. So if he can change, if he can issue payments, if he can do things like changing your inventory, if he can delete your account, if he can do all that kind of stuff, that is server-side access. If he can place a script or a program on your computer and then execute that, that is client access, and that's way more dangerous, like way worse, if that makes sense.
That's an alpha male right there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the problem is, like, how do they... if you watch the clip, of course, of Jen, you've probably seen it, I guess. If you see the clip, there's a literal client, but in the game opening.
It feels much different than the HAL one too, because the HAL one had no client.
It was just straight
auto aim, and he was locked on. Whereas this one actually was a transparent window. It looked like it was actually built with in-game stuff, or something like it, because it kind of melded into the game.
Yeah. So I've actually got this up here.
Exactly.
So you can see this right here, the TSM halal hook, right?
Yeah.
So this pops up, which means this dude's machine is compromised. We don't know if that compromise happened through the client or if that happened because he downloaded something stupid, right? At the same time, we have a tweet right here, which is very funny to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I was download. What is this? Free download. Okay, I'm downloading it.
Yeah, but that's just him being fucking stupid. Like, everyone, like, come on.
Yes. Let's say this happened a month ago. Let's say this happened a month ago, right? Let's say that he's not screwing around and he actually just downloaded something random on the internet. Anything that you download, anything at all that you put on that machine could have been compromised for months, man.
Yeah.
So that's why I look at these types of things and I'm like, okay, if this is a joke thing, cool. But if it's not a joke thing and he actually did that, you always think about those types of things. For this, we still don't have any indication that it's RC on the client. I would love to see the method for this, the mechanism for that.
That was,
but again,
by
we
the way,
still don't have it.
Sorry for interrupting, but that was after the clip. That one right there is after he got hacked. So he's downloading what's called malware bytes.
So it happened after that.
Yeah.
Sure. So like if he's got that and he's running malware bytes after the fact, that's a good idea, right? But with that kind of a thing, he's like, oh, he's just downloading something that chat told him to do, and if he gets a link for it and he goes and runs that, this happens to everybody all the time. And it also doesn't mean that the hacker has some kind of an exploit on the client. Still, like when we're dealing with vulnerabilities anytime, especially in the games industry, we have to determine scope of the attacker's ability, right? And if the attacker is claiming something, we need to prove that the attacker can do those types of things. Because everybody is going to be like, I'm way bigger than life. I'm way scarier than possible, right? Like, I'm the biggest, baddest, most badass hacker around. It's a normal thing. But if they don't prove that they can do that, then it's fog of war. They look way scarier than they actually are. So for me, this isn't scary to me. This is like puzzle solve time, right? Like, what is this dude doing where he's getting access to these individuals' computers? And Occam's razor to me says, you've got two compromised normal machines, you know, because he hasn't gone after anybody else in those games. He hasn't compromised anybody else's accounts in this way by actually running those when he could, and he hasn't done it yet. Even in a whole bunch of other games that are going on,
the story like
these
that.
Major streamers have not been compromised again, right? Not that we've seen. So if that is happening, if he does have that access, why didn't he use it again? The only thing he's doing outside of that is server-side actions, such as spawning in packs and handing them to you. And after that, spawning in bots in the game. Server-side access is scary enough. That's bad, right? They need to find out what the hell's going on there. But this, still, no evidence of RC on the client. Not yet. Maybe he has it, but this doesn't prove it.
Thor, a common question I see, which is, how do I know, or what is a good sign to look for as a layman for RCE, for the remote code execution that could potentially compromise my system, get something installed that I don't want? How would I know, like, what are some signs you'd want to look for?
So for me, what I'd want to see is him doing this on a wider scale to other average users en masse, right? Because then you can only prove that at that point, once you have more machines that this is happening to, you can prove like, hey, wait a minute. It is very unlikely now that he has compromised every one of these accounts and every one of these computers individually, right? When you have two high visibility, high, value targets like this, and only those two's machines are, compromised in this way, it doesn't prove RCE. RCE, you'd use it en masse, right? If you had a vulnerability like that where you could hit anybody's account and actually put something on their computer in any lobby in this game, and you just target two specific machines, and that's it?
In a private match, in a very highly public-eyed setting? Unlikely.
It's incredibly unlikely. So what we look at in that is like either he hasn't thought about going after more people, which seems wrong to me, or the scope of his vulnerability is not as large as he makes it out to be. For me, right?
I personally think he just does it for attention, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to do it for attention, you'd hit every. Like to be real with you, if you wanted to do it for attention, you'd hit everybody in every game, not just two major streamers. You'd hit everybody. Everybody like, oh shit, the hack is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
EA completely, Apex would be unplayable for days because everyone's freaked out that they're going to get RC. That'd be, if you were going for the attention, that would be the greatest way to do attention.
Yeah, I'm like, if you're going for full attention, there's even other ways too. Like there's things that he could do if it is full RC onto the client. There's other things you could download onto there to maybe just make it so that it says things in chat, right? He's already doing that there. Apex hacking global series by Destroyer 2009 and random, right? This statement right here that's there, he could just have every client in the entire game spamming that. Every client, if he has that kind of access. But he did it to two streamers. That's why it doesn't make any sense. Because if you're going to have a vulnerability like that, it's not about threading the needle to hit in each individual account. It's about you can make it distributable at that point. You can hit a large number of players all at once. If he has the access he claims he does, it doesn't make sense to do it this way. It just leads me back to the individually compromised computers. Which, again, he may have that access and he just hasn't scoped it up, right? That is possible. But to me, it feels unlikely at the current stage, right?
I think one of the other guy's teammates got banned too. A guy called Verhulst. Yeah, he said it in the clip. Verhulst doesn't seem like a guy that clicks shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
So he got banned for what though?
Just fucking like it thinks he's cheating. Like easy anti-cheat or whatever.
So easy anti-cheat thought that he was cheating.
Interesting.
Yeah, the thing is.
have to keep playing
Yeah,
scrim.
because anytime we do investigation stuff, for me, it's
That's all I'm
like
saying.
it's going to be the minimum until we can prove more, right? And I find that the internet generally takes the opposite approach. They're like, the sky is falling, everything's on fire, and I'm like, no, dude, just
Yeah.
wait.
It's just a bunch of
Just
Hitlers
wait,
and
you know.
RCEs out there.
That's what I'm playing
happens.
today, you know?
That's all it is. It's ridiculous. The reason why I doubt it is let's look at the scope again. He's only hitting Apex Legends players, right? It's unlikely that it's easy anti-cheat. If you had access to every game that has easy anti-cheat on it, everything would be on fire right now. Like that's not. I find that to be incredibly doubtful.
That's the clip of him playing ranked, and then he gets banned. And then his teammate, if you can hear, he says, "I got banned too."
I got banned?
No, I think I got banned too, bro.
Yeah, let's listen to this real fast.
Yeah, sorry.
Again, server level access.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be onto the person's client, right? So, like, think about it this way: if the server is compromised, if this guy has access as an employee would, all of these actions could be done through server level access. Like, you could ban players, you could unban players, you could generate packs, you could trade them to other people, you could do any of these things because it's all held on the server side. So, like, this also doesn't prove that he has remote code execution on that end person's machine. It's easy for us to assume that he has downloaded something onto that person's computer, run a cheat on that person's computer, and then that person got banned by the automatic easy anti-cheat system. But if he has server level access, he could just be like, "Oh, you're flagged as a cheater."
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, that he can turn it up and down. He can make the easy anti-cheat ban you, and he can't. But he can make it not ban you. So when they're just cheating normally, it won't get detected, but he can just turn it on so they get detected instantly if they want to. That's the thing.
So the most that I'm getting out of this is I've got two most likely possibilities, right? Most likely possibility, this dude has server level access, right? 100%. Now, the secondary possibility of that is he doesn't have direct server level access. There may be a compromised employee's machine in there. Like, that is also very likely, right? Because if you have a compromised employee machine, you would get the same level of access as if you had a vulnerability directly on the server, because you just ping pong through it.
Because because a lot of employees' machines usually aren't given full access at all points, so usually they have
get the right one.
Scoped one. Yeah, I guess if
You get someone in IT that already has access. Yep.
Fair.
They just fired a bunch of
Spear
people
phishing-
though, like the other day.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it could also be an employee that's mad.
No, because he's
there's
been there
always
for a
that-
long time though. That's the problem. He's been there for like what, 2 months?
2 months. Yeah, sure. I mean,
Like,
so it's probably not a fired employee, but to be real with you, it could be a compromised employee machine. Spear phishing is pretty normal. What that is, if you've never heard of spear phishing, is I will go after one specific employee because they are high value. A high value employee would be somebody, in this case, who has access to the servers. Could go through that route. Could, right? Could. Doesn't mean true. Means could. At that point, he could also have a vulnerability directly in the server. He could have remote code execution on the server. Showing the breadth of the things that he has access to, it is likely he is manipulating the servers in some way, either directly or through an employee's machine, right? It is unlikely that he has individual access to each player's client, though. Yeah, so for people who are saying, like, oh, he's in your PC and things like that, there's no indication that he is, right? There's no indication that he's in these specifically Mande's PC. There's indication that he has server-side access. There's no indication that he has client-side access, other than those two other players, which could have directly compromised machines. Their specific machines are compromised, not the game. So in order to prove that there's client-side RCE, we have to show that the guy's actually accessing those machines through the game, which is, there's no indication of that just yet. If they prove it, then great. But don't jump to conclusions just because you think it's possible.
Yeah.
You have to prove these things when we're dealing with security. And if you can't prove it, don't repeat it.
Right, which is what people tend to do on the internet, is they do nothing, and then they just say the worst possible thing, which is it's just RCE exploit in play Apex or in the anti-cheat. And you're just like, okay, let's slow down for a second.
I'm pretty sure the Easy Entity tweeted out not that long ago that it's nothing to do with them, that it's a respawn thing.
Yeah, I actually posted on Twitter about this too, about that statement, because it's easy for any of these companies to make claims. They have to, right? You have to cover your ass as a company every time. So I said being confident. So their claim was, we've investigated the recent reports of a potential RCE issue with easy anti-cheat. At this time, we are confident there is no RCE vulnerability within EAC being exploited. We will continue to work closely with our partners for any follow-up support needed. And I said, being confident is different from fully understanding the recently claimed RCE vulnerability. With EAC's claim here, I am still waiting to see if the vuln lies with Apex or EAC. Better to be correct over being fast. Don't spread needless fear and wait for more information. Because any company is going to say, oh, it's not us.
Yeah.
No, it's never been us, right? And then it could come out later like, oh, wait, it was you. But it won't come out. The vuln won't come out for months, right? So I would look at this in the same way that I am now, which is we have proof of a server-side vulnerability of some kind, whether that's access through an employee or access directly is unknown.
This is probably fucking fake as fuck, but I got a thing with like also just confirming the RC has nothing to do with R5, right? The R5 is like a secondary game to Apex, but like where you can like customize a bunch of stuff. So people think that's where they got it from. So you download R5 and it's like a mod for Apex or whatever.
Modded variant, yeah.
Yeah, he just said it has nothing to do with R5 at all. But like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, is everybody using R5? All the people who are like, so for the 2 players who were compromised, are they using R5?
I think one is.
So right there, it lends credence to it's not, right?
Yeah,
because if one of them is and the other one isn't, then like, bleh, you know?
Shut the fuck up.
But the thing is, like, people are like scared to like play the game or open the game or whatever, right?
Oh, no, so people are going to be super afraid of this, and I think a lot of the reason why is because they don't understand what remote code execution is. They don't understand this. So let me draw this on the good old whiteboard here.
Yeah.
Let's say that the attacker's computer is here, and let's say that your computer is here, right? This is the server. If the attacker has remote code execution on the server, it means that they can execute code on this machine from their machine. It does not mean that they can execute code on your machine, but it means that they can modify memory and execute commands on the server. That means that they could do things like ban you, or generate packs, or change your lobby, or delete your lobby, or anything else that goes on with this, depending on the server infrastructure that's there. Now remember, the server instance is a solo thing. There's authentication servers that handle login, may not have access to that. It could be the actual game servers themselves, so just changing game state, but not changing anything outside of that. There may be servers that handle everything with shops and payment processing details, because there's a bunch of different standards that have to be applied to payment processing information. Totally different servers, right? So there's lots of different things that go into the server when people talk about servers for games. It's not just one thing. But it's very clear that he has access to purchase and information regarding how many packs your account has. And he has access to the game servers because he can do things like summon in a bunch of bots, right? Those alone does not necessarily mean he has remote code execution on all things, because he could be doing a lot more damage. He has execution for 2 things: summoning bots, banning, actually 3 things: summoning bots, banning people by flagging their account for easy anti-cheat, and the last one is creating like packs and then giving them to people. So those 3 vulnerabilities are quite bad, but it doesn't show full control. Full control would be much worse, right? Now, just because you have execution on this machine doesn't mean you have execution on the end user's machine. You would have to have another vulnerability. What you would need to do at that point is you have to have remote code execution on the server, and then that would then chain into another vulnerability that's on the client. The client would have to be vulnerable, so you could do that on the end user, which would be your game copy.
Yeah.
In this case, we can't prove this connection. So it's strange to say that that's the truth, right? We have to prove the connection first. That's it.
And it'd be extremely sophisticated, too.
I have a question to you guys, though. I think a lot of people want me to ask this question, too. So, we've been struggling with cheaters and this shit for fucking years. Like, 2 years plus of just like, and it feels like nothing's happening. Is it what is like the play if you guys were the people in like, what's it called?
So in game security stuff, generally the way that we do this is through ban waves, right? And I'm sure you've seen a bunch of ban waves for the game, right? Are they doing massive ban waves of like tens of thousands?
They did it one time.
How many people do they ban in the one ban wave?
I don't remember. It was a lot. People like jumped a bunch of places and stuff like that. But they only one time. It was like one time for like a whole week, where the game actually felt normal. But
about 100K people are saying.
Maybe.
Is it 100K?
I don't
Some
remember.
people are saying 4K and 7K. No one knows the value.
I have no idea.
So generally the way that we do this is you're supposed to do it every 3 to 6 months, and it's not about catching the players cheating. And I know that may be weird, right? Why would you ban players if you're not trying to stop the players from cheating? You're not. They're actually ammunition. So what we usually do, we do it every 3 to 6 months because there's a person on the other side that's making the botting or cheating tools. They're creating those tools, and they're usually monetizing that in some way, right? If they're not monetizing it, whatever. But when you do this 3 to 6 month ban, if they are monetizing it, you get a shitload of chargebacks if they're not using crypto. All those players are suddenly angry customers for your opponent. At the same time, you also get a bunch of angry players that are reviewing that bot and telling everyone, don't use this tool. I got banned for this tool. So you do this all at once to overwhelm the shit out of your opponent, all at once. That's why we do every 3 to 6 months. And it also stops your opponent, who are the bot creators, from detecting how you caught them, because they don't know. It could be any change they made over the last 3 to 6 months. You do it then, at that moment, to basically just wipe them off the map. And we used to do that all the time at Blizzard. Like, while I was at Blizzard, we banned, for me, I banned over 2 million accounts in detections that I formed, right? But there were people on Risk that banned like 14, 15 million accounts doing this. And each time one of those ban waves went through, it chipped away at every one of those cheat creators until many of them fell under the pressure because they couldn't handle it. And that helps make the game better. It's not about the players getting banned. It's about using them as ammo every time.
Okay. Because right now it feels like, dude, every time anyone gets banned, it feels like a manual ban. Like we have to, when we die to someone, we say, okay, 7895558 in my game, he's cheating, can you ban him? They go and look, boom, aimbotting, ban. It feels like a manual ban every time. And it doesn't feel
I'm
like...
sure that happened.
Yeah, it feels like...
Apex is free to play, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's live server.
So the moment... Here's the other thing. Generally, games that have pay, like costs associated to buying the game, this is much less common. And the reason why is because there's a barrier to entry.
Yeah, of course.
There's way less hacks like this. And I know that sucks because free-to-play games are awesome as hell, but the barrier to entry for the attacker is like, whatever, just gonna make a new one. Who gives a shit, right? There's nothing to tie to them to it. They just go generate a new email, go make a new game. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. I can make 1 million Steam accounts a day. Whatever, right? And that's how that shit happens. And it's sad. You know, it's sad, but that is the state of free-to-play games. You're always going to have that. So what you need to do at that point is just attack the cheat creators. And like, if they're not doing regular ban waves, if not doing that every 3 to 6 months, there are 2 reasons why. Either they don't have the manpower for it, or they don't have the detection method for it. It's sophistication or organization issues, always. And like, sophistication is going to come down to like, hey, we don't have a method for catching these people. We don't have a good way to detect this other than player-driven reporting, right? That sucks. That's a shit place to be. That's the same place we were for StarCraft 2. Most of the people who get banned in StarCraft 2, they get banned at the end of the season because they get reported, and a actual Risk employee has to go and watch the game to see if that person reacted to something in Fog of War. It sucks. It's a shit way to be, but that is sometimes the only solution, right? Outside of that, you need heuristic detection, and that's very hard to develop for. So like, it's not always possible. The other one is going to be organization, which maybe they just don't have the people for it. They don't got the manpower, man. And like, they haven't put enough people into that team. It may be tough to do.
They just fired a ton of them. Yeah, my bad, sorry.
Security, firing a ton of them, not great. But also, security people are expensive as shit, dude. That what we do is not cheap, and I can understand that as well. So like on the dev side, I'm wondering if they just can't solve this issue right now, and they might be able to solve it later, or maybe they just can't solve it because they're overwhelmed by it, man. And that's so awful.
Agreed. Yeah. But it's just like what the fuck do you do? Do you just tank it the rest of our lives, or what?
Yeah, on the player side, the most that you can do is raise awareness for this, is talk about it on social media, say these are the things that I am seeing as a player, without making wild claims, because people are going to make wild claims about this. Just remember something, and this is the most important thing, and I know it doesn't feel like this all the time. You're on the same side as the devs. And it feels like the devs are lazy. It feels like the devs don't care. But I guarantee you, there's a bunch of developers trying to solve this, and they can't right now.
Okay.
They don't have a method to do it, or they don't have the people to do it. And I know that sucks, and it doesn't feel that way. But it's so easy to fall into the trap where you are adversaries with the devs when they're already fighting these guys. Work with them as much as you can. Report as many of these pieces of shit as possible. Put that out on social media. Show that anytime you possibly can. And it's such a common thing, and it's funny because I normally stream in software and game development here on Twitch, right? That's normally the place that I stream. Yeah. And it's such a common thing to have this idea that devs are golden gods that are untouchable, amazing human beings, or they're pieces of shit that don't care. They're other humans, and they're working a job, and they're trying to get this stuff solved, and their own player base turning against them, dude, that makes it all worse, dude.
Okay. That's nice to hear, I guess.
One more thing
Even for me, like when we were going and banning people, you know, there were tons of things where it's like, God damn it, I can't find a way to detect this. I can't find a way to catch this person, right? I remember doing a Hail Mary thing one time because I was like, I want to get rid of phishing bots in World of Warcraft because so many goddamn phishing bots. The moment the expansion come out, it's like phishing bots everywhere, right? And I formed this whole detection. I was like finding all the different methods to do it, and I put it out. And I was like, I'm going to catch so many phishing bots. You're going to do this. It banned 3 people.
Big, dude.
It's like a full thing with like an MMO with millions of players. And like 3 dudes got detected. I was like, God damn it. You know, like I spent like 2 months on it, dude.
Fishing
so like,
bots
yeah,
hurt.
the same thing happens on the other end. Like some of the shit just fails. And you're like, I spent all that time and all that money to like do this thing and it didn't even work. So like, it does happen, and it happens on the same side. I think the best thing to remember in all of this is the devs who care, they're on your side, man. They are, as the players. And it sucks because there may be things where they can't communicate to you because of legal shit or financial shit. There may be things where they can't form a detection for the thing right now. They're doing investigation. They don't want to give away anything. They don't want to tip their hand to the person who's attacking. Like there's so many reasons not to, but I honestly believe that if companies were more open with communication to the players, there would be less bad feelings when things like this happen, because this is going to keep happening. Attacks are going to keep happening on companies.